For about 100 years now, physics has had this huge, nagging problem. We have incredible theories that can describe the biggest things in the universe, like stars and galaxies, and other theories for the tiniest things, like atoms. But we can't get them to talk to each other. What if the missing piece to it all isn't hidden in some particle accelerator, but it's actually inside our own heads? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty radical theory that puts consciousness, your consciousness, right at the center of reality itself.
Okay, so here's the deal. The fundamental problem that has had scientists scratching their heads for a century. On one hand, you've got general relativity. It's brilliant. It perfectly describes the big, predictable clockwork of the cosmos. On the other hand, you've got quantum mechanics, which describes the absolutely bizarre, probabilistic world of tiny particles, where things can be in multiple places at once. The problem? They totally contradict each other. It's like having two different conflicting rulebooks for the exact same game.
But what if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if we've been asking the wrong question? The framework we're exploring today suggests a massive shift in thinking. It proposes that the unifying theory, the so-called theory of everything, isn't some static, dusty old equation, but a dynamic, living process. A continuous circulation of energy where consciousness isn't just a bystander, it's the main event. To get our heads around this process, we're going to need a map. And this model gives us a really elegant one, using a metaphor that we all get, like, instantly: the states of matter. We're going to use solid, liquid, and gas to help us navigate the different layers of what we call reality. All right, check this out. Think of this as our Rosetta Stone for reality. It connects three different things. In the first column, we've got the realms of our experience: the body, the mind, and the spirit. In the next column, we see how they line up with the different realms of physics. The body, that's the world of classical physics, which we're going to call solid. The spirit, that lines up with quantum physics, our gas. And here's the absolute key: the mind. The mind is the liquid, the transition state that connects the two. This simple table is the foundation for everything we're about to unpack. So let's start with what we know best, the world we can touch and feel. The body. This is our solid realm. It plays by the rules of classical physics. Simple cause and effect. You push a ball, it rolls. Pretty straightforward, right? It's deterministic, it's predictable, and it's locked into that linear flow of time we all experience. Past, present, and future. This is our physical anchor in reality. Now let's just leap to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Let's talk about the spirit, or the gaseous realm. This is the wild world of quantum physics. This isn't something solid you can hold. It's more like a fog of pure potential, a whole ocean of possibilities and what-ifs. In this realm, weird things happen. Distance doesn't really mean anything. Everything is connected or entangled. And time? It's not a line. It's just one single point, the eternal now. And this brings us right back to that million-dollar question. How does the solid, predictable world of our body even come from this hazy, probabilistic field of the spirit? I mean, how do you connect a rock to a cloud? What is the bridge? What's the missing link?
Well, according to this model, the answer is the mind. It's not the solid rock or the gaseous cloud. It's the liquid bridge. It is the flowing, adaptable, transitional medium that connects the quantum world with the classical world. The model calls the mind a phase transition chamber. Okay, that sounds technical, but the idea is actually super simple. Just imagine a chamber where steam, that's the gaseous potential of the spirit, can cool down and condense into liquid water. And then that water can freeze into a block of ice, the solid reality of the body. The mind is the water in the middle. It's the essential translator that turns pure potential into actual physical stuff. So this gives us a really clear step-by-step process for how reality actually comes into being. It's a constant flow, a process of condensation. It all starts out as a gas of infinite possibilities up in the spirit realm. Then the mind, acting as the conscious observer, condenses one of those possibilities. And finally, that possibility shows up as a solid experience through our body, right here in physical reality. Okay, that's the theory. But what does this actually mean for you, for us, in our daily lives? Well, this model suggests there are two very different ways to experience this reality. And it all comes down to the role of the observer, which is you. All right, so most of us, most of the time, are on what we could call the unconscious path. This is where the flow is just one way. Spirit automatically condenses into matter, and we just kind of go along for the ride. We're unaware of our part in it, which can leave us feeling like life is just happening to us. But then, there's the conscious path. This isn't a one-way street anymore. It's a feedback loop. Here, the observer is awake, they're aware, and they are actively participating.
You create this two-way bridge that allows you to actually influence what condenses from that giant field of potential. So how does this conscious feedback loop actually work? Well, it's kind of like a two-step dance. First comes evaporation. Your conscious thoughts, your focus, your intention, it's like turning up the heat on the liquid mind. This sends a very specific signal, a specific energy, back up into the quantum field of the spirit. And then comes recondensation. The field, now imprinted with your intention, condenses back into a new physical reality that matches it. The whole point here is that you're not just passively accepting whatever condenses, you are consciously tuning the frequency of what you want to manifest.
And believe it or not, this brings us right back to where we started, with a huge, unsolved problem in physics. Because this model isn't just some nice spiritual idea, it offers a really profound philosophical answer to a very real, very weird scientific problem.
So in quantum physics, there's this famous, really weird, head-scratching thing called the measurement problem. And here's what it is. The very act of observing or measuring a quantum system forces it to snap out of that hazy fog of potential and collapse into one single definite state. The question that has baffled physicists is, why? Why does just looking at something fundamentally change it?
And this is where our model just clicks perfectly into place. It says, hey, it's not a mystery at all. The observer isn't some outside intruder messing up the experiment. The observer is a mandatory bridge in the whole process. According to this, matter can't even become solid reality without first being condensed by a conscious witness. The act of looking doesn't just change reality, it creates it.
So in the end, that theory of everything we've all been searching for, it's probably not some complicated math equation scribbled on a blackboard. It's the living, breathing circulation of energy between spirit, mind, and body, from gas to liquid to solid and all the way back again. It is a process, and you are right at the very heart of it. And that leaves us with one last, really powerful question to think about. If the act of our observation, our attention, is the very thing that turns infinite potential into a single, concrete reality, then the most important question you could ever ask yourself is this: what in your life are you choosing to look at?